Being a kid was really weird sometimes. While a lot of us were really happy, enjoying our lives and hobbies and everything, there were times where you wanted to get something, but you really couldn't afford it because a lot of us really didn't have any type of money. And some of us didn't have parents that would let us buy anything that we wanted right away. So I did decide to do a few things when I was older to kind of get some programs for free. And I ain't gonna lie, I decided to fucking pirate some programs when I was like 17. And I'm not really ashamed of it now, considering the circumstance that everything has gone down. What's up, everybody? I'm a Marks Games, and today we're gonna have this unique conversation about piracy. So sit down, eat your popcorn, and today we're gonna talk about why I think it's really not that big of a deal anymore. Look, I get it. Stealing programs should not be the thing to go, because you do have to support your creators and stuff, or you want to support the people that you're kind of using the software or playing the video games for. But honestly, it was a good argument about 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but now so much has gotten changed, and corporate greed really got in the way. And now I'm just like, yeah, I don't really mind people who pirate shit anymore. And there's people who do get all weird about this topic, but I don't fucking care. Now, I'm not saying that you should pirate every single little thing on the internet because there's stuff I still do buy, like the Small Wolf 2 gameplay I obviously bought from Steam. And of course, I don't want to get a fucking virus because sometimes when you do get some programs for free, you get some nasty fucking bloatware and shit. But when I was young, I was in IT professionals class and everything, and so I kind of knew how to get around on the computer without getting a virus. And I was able to get some few programs when I was really young, like old school Photoshop and some old school video editing software, but I never really got any farther than that because I was too scared that the FBI or something was going to come to my door. But this was like 10, no, 12 years ago, around there. I think it was 2015, and yeah, about 10 years ago, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, it wasn't too bad because, I had to get started somewhere because I wanted to play around with Photoshop because I remember I was using some crappy fucking software called GIMP, and it was not getting the job done. And and a lot of broke fucking 17-year-olds can't find a way to get programs without this type of shit happening. Plus, pirating a couple games wasn't really that great anyways because you had to constantly go look for update files and shit, and you gotta make sure they weren't viruses as well. And it was just a lot of work, so honestly, it is easier at the end of the day just to buy the game off Steam. And the worst case scenario is that you could instantly refund the game within 2 hours, which I do find really useful because there was times where I did buy Call of Duty Remastered trying to get the remastered mod for Modern Warfare 2, but Activision was being a piece of shit, so when they seasoned the seas, I got a refund. But now, corporations nowadays be making people pay for subscriptions of every little thing, including Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro, basically Adobe Illustrator. And it's really shitty too because you really do not own these programs anymore. And I think it's kind of messed up that a lot of these corporations are charging people monthly subscriptions just to use their software, and you don't technically own it anymore. And that's another thing why I don't think piracy is really that bad anymore, is because you get to own the program entirely and you don't have to fucking worry about paying no fucking subscription again, because back in the day it used to be just one subscription and you're done. And I understand that argument back then, I would, but when it comes to this type of shit, like, yeah, fuck them, that's just greedy as shit. It's terrible, and I don't think it should be a common practice within these companies, but here we are, they do it anyways. And another thing I really don't support is Netflix. I really do not like streaming services because of the same reasons and shit, because they got greedier and greedier by raising the prices. And I never liked the idea where they would take away shows and then put them back on there. And I ain't gonna lie, I do have a special program where I get some free like streaming shows and stuff, and I don't fucking care at this point because, these corporations are getting ridiculous with these streaming services. And I don't think it's really fair to anyone that's kind of paying so much more money for it for the same exact thing, or if not worse. Another thing I also do have is I have an old PlayStation 2 and an old CRT, which is sick because I do like old retro gaming and stuff. And eventually I would want to get a capture card to kind of get some gameplay footage for you guys for this channel because it'd be fun. But yeah, I have like old ISO ROMs of like games I downloaded because these games are extremely old as well. They're about 20 years ago and it's all emulation. And I find that shit weird that so many companies like Nintendo have issues with emulation. Like, I understand if it's like a modern game, but if the games are old as shit and it's hard to find physical copies for them, I don't see the big issue because they kind of ran their course, and fuck, these are like 3 generations ago. And what's even crazy is the PlayStation 6 is actually right around the corner soon, and it's crazy because I feel like the PS5 was underwhelming as fuck. I also do remember like 10 years ago when I was in high school, because we had MacBooks and stuff, high school laptops and everything for computer classes and everything, because I went to a decent school. And around 2013, they started rolling around MacBooks for students. And I will never forget people downloading games for free on them while at school and pirating a bunch of shit. And I'll never forget when people also pirated like movies and music. And also my IT professionals, some kid actually was so crazy enough to download BitTorrent and uTorrents and started getting fucking free music. And it got so bad that the actual FBI sent them a warning letter to the actual school, and the teacher was pissed because the teacher at the time did not have like a website blocker for anything, so you could go on any part of the internet and basically fucking do whatever you want. It was crazy, and the teacher was nice enough, as long as we got caught up on our work, that he would let us kind of go wherever website we want to. And I'll never forget when he let us play Steam games on our computers for one day. That was also really fun. And that was at the Career Center, and these were the same schools that was teaching us shit about piracy and everything, and I thought it was funny. Because I remember the 90s when it was a lot more serious, but nowadays no one seems to fucking give a shit. And then it was also funny that in high school, my own teachers would actually be streaming movies off their MacBooks for free too through that website that would stream free movies. And a lot of kids were also doing it while in class watching fucking movies while the teacher was teaching when they weren't supposed to. Another thing I also did find really interesting was the crazy anti-piracy measures a lot of gaming companies did back in the day, especially with the PlayStation 1. Like, I'll never forget, it was one of the Spyro games where if someone's pirated a copy of Spyro and the PlayStation detected it, or the PC detected it, that they'll let you play the whole game, kind of fucking everything up, have to get every single obstacles to try and make things even harder, and then at the end of the game, they would fucking delete your save file and make you reset. And I thought that shit was low-key petty, but really funny, because it kind of eggs the person along that they got away with it, but in reality they did it. For people who are pirating programs that's like Adobe software and everything to try to prevent from paying a subscription, I don't really blame you guys one bit, because I do find it really pathetic. And I do think that these companies should definitely fucking stop doing this shit, but at the end of the day, it's probably going to only get worse. Like, pretty soon, dude, they're going to start making people pay for subscriptions for video games even more. Like, the Game Pass is already a step forward, dude. Just wait. Nowadays, you're going to fucking make everything a streaming service for video games, and then they're probably going to make people fucking forced to play the games on a stream, so they have to pay for a service and fee. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Now, one thing I will say is, do not pirate programs from indie developers or small companies, because those are actually hardworking people. They're kind of like the breaking back of the gaming community that's kind of keeping things alive, not in just games, just software in general, because it's only morally correct, in my honest opinion, with giant corporations that's being greedy. Because at the end of the day, dude, if you mistreat the consumer will fight back. And as a wise man said, piracy isn't a problem for companies that provide good services. Steam is honestly the only reason why I don't really pirate any video games. Why? Because they provide excellent services, and they have a refund system where if it doesn't work out. And it's great, honestly, because it fixes all of those problems. I honestly think that companies should provide something good that makes it better for the person to buy something within the program or service than the actual pirates themselves. Because if the product is exactly the same that someone can pirate, why even bother sometimes, you know? There's got to be really unique ways of the benefits to kind of make sure it's better for the consumer when they buy something. And no, guys, I am not a lawyer, I am not an attorney, so this is not actual legal advice of what you can do with piracy, if you guys are wondering, because there's some people that are going to think this is like legal advice. It's not. It's just my honest opinion. Also, guys, I am not a lawyer or an attorney. I'm just some schmo on the internet just talking about fucking piracy. So I'm not going to send you guys any links to what I did when I was younger. I'm also not going to tell you guys the name of the program I have, what I did to get some free fucking TV shows and stuff. Because at the end of the day, fucking people are fucking petty, and companies are going to get really shitty and try to sue. Anyways, everybody, what's your guys' thoughts about piracy? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Like, for me, it's a double-edged sword. Like, I don't fully support piracy in terms of, like, stealing in general, because it is kind of fucking crazy that people will just steal from small, honest creators. And I don't think that's morally right. But I think it is morally okay, and I think it's a great way to get back at the giant greedy ones that mistreat the people, like I said. And that's about it, really, on my honest take on piracy. Now, as an adult, I am really glad I don't really do any pirating programs anymore, because I remember when I was 17, when I didn't have a job, and I just didn't want a job at the time, and also my mom wouldn't let me, that I remember that I downloaded a super nasty virus where it led my RAM to be used up by 100% and my CPU was almost 100%. Thankfully, I had my RAM at like 99% just to barely use it, but everything was fucking stuttering and it was the most terrifying experience. Thankfully, I was able to get Malwarebytes and was able to get rid of that shit because fucking that software is fucking amazing. I love Malwarebytes. It's one of my favorite softwares. And of course, CC Cleaner, which is the GOAT. Anyways, everybody, I got some errands I gotta do. I gotta go outside and enjoy the weather and everything. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out, and y'all stay cool.